Greetings, Matt Simon here. Today I'm going to do Shape of My Heart, Lyrical Analysis by Sting. The song was released in 1993 as a single from the 10 Summoner's Tales album. Sting's birth name is Summoner, so that's where the reference Summoner comes from. And this is again another reference to Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. The album featured Sting on vocals and bass, Dominic Miller on guitar, David Sanchez on keyboards, and the absolute legend that is Vinnie Colaiuta on drums. If you're not aware of any of Vinnie's work, just type Vinnie drums into YouTube and he's incredible. First verse. He deals the cards as a meditation, and those he plays never suspect. He doesn't play for the money he wins, he don't play for respect. So here's a guy who is a gambler. Going to assume it is a poker player, although Sting has said it is about a poker player. But he doesn't play for the money, so what does he play for? He deals the cards to find the answer, the sacred geometry of chance, the hidden law of a probable outcome, the numbers lead a dance. So what we're finding here is someone who uses the cards as a meditation, a way to find answers to... He's trying to unlock the mysteries of the universe, trying to find patterns in things. And this is where the quote about sacred geometry comes in. Sting is clearly very well read. Sacred geometry is when people have ascribed significance to certain patterns. Some patterns you may know will be the flower of life, the tree of life, the seed of life, Metatron's cube, and the Macabre. Sacred geometry also references things like natural patterns, so the Fibonacci sequence, which is when you add one number to the next one, to the next one, to the next one to produce a sequence. This is found a lot in nature, things like spirals, the pattern of sunflower seeds and shells. And also the golden ratio, which is considered the most aesthetically pleasing rectangle. And it's got specific size, the ratio of the sides. And things we use in modern days which have this ratio, this size, is credit cards and full-bar Kit Kats, apparently. And the chorus is where this really digs into the heart of the matter. I know that the spades are the swords of a soldier. I know the clubs are weapons of war. I know that diamonds mean money for this art, but that's not the shape of my heart. So where does this come from? It comes from tarot cards. So tarot cards were the first cards to come out, and then the modern playing deck we use is based on the tarot cards, and then it's evolved. So different European countries use different suits. The ones we use in UK and America the most are based on the French, so we have the standard clubs, hearts, diamonds and spades. In Italy they use cups, coins, clubs and swords, which are basically what we use from the tarot. There's different tarot sets available, but the most commonly used ones again in America and the UK are based on the Italian and Spanish suits. In Germany they use roses, bells, acorns and shields. So that's in Swiss German pack. Germany they use hearts, bells, acorns and leaves. And in the French, the UK ones again is hearts, diamonds, clovers, which is why it looks that design for clubs, and then pikes, which we know as spades. So where does this come from? I know the spades are the swords of a soldier. Well, if we reference the tarot cards to where they've come to, the spades are referenced to the suit of swords in tarot, and that's because the Italian word for sword is very similar to how we'd read spade. Clubs are weapons of war. Clubs, the suit in tarot is the wands or the staff, so like a wooden staff. Clearly a weapon of war, or could be used as a weapon. I know that diamonds mean money for this art. Now in the French suit they have diamonds, but this is also called tiles. And diamonds is reference to coins or pentacles in the tarot. So diamonds clearly referencing the money. But that's not the shape of my heart. So hearts would be the final suit. And what's quite interesting is if we look at what elements the tarot is referenced to. Swords are connected to air, wands fire, coins earth, and cups are water. And this is really significant because water has long been used to represent emotions in symbolisms, dreams. If you have a dream and there's water, is it a frozen waterfall, a raging lake, a small trickle? So cups represent emotion. And also the suits have been thought to represent different strata in society. So the swords would be the aristocracy, the clubs, the sticks would be the peasants, the clergy would be the cups, and the diamonds, the coins, would be the merchant class. Now the next verse. He may play the jack of diamonds, he may lay the queen of spades, he may conceal a king in his hand while the memory of it fades. So there's nothing really significant that's being added, but it's just describing how you play the game. Next one. If I told you that I loved you, you'd maybe think there's something wrong. I'm not a man of too many faces, the mask I wear is one. This is someone who's obviously very introverted, not a very expressive person, and also the mask could very well refer to a poker face. So when you're playing poker, you don't want the other people to see the reaction to how you're playing, so you've got to keep a very straight face. It's a bit like wearing a mask. Final verse. But those who speak know nothing and find out to their cost, like those who curse their luck in too many places and those who fear are lost. I think for this one, it speaks of mastery of your emotions. So the people who curse their luck, get too emotional, they're going to be less good at poker. But also for meditation and any spiritual practice to be successful, you need to master your emotions and be calm. As an extension on the tarot, there's 3 decks which are most commonly used. There's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, also known as the Rider-Waite deck. There is the Thoth Tarot, which is based on the Egyptian god of magic and wisdom, and there's Tarot of Marseille. Quite commonly used is the Rider-Waite deck because the people that designed it were very into spirituality, the occult, and developing all the mystic arts. So they planned out how they wanted them to be designed, and they're used as a divination, which is also you could term scrying. Scrying is like reading tea leaves or looking into a crystal ball. You use it as a tool, but it's not. In a crystal ball, there's no images in the crystal ball. You're looking in there, and it should trigger something in your subconscious and intuition, and the ideas come in that way. So the Rider-Waite deck, they design them in a way that there's lots of detail on the cards. So you could pick out certain details, and that would spark the intuition and the insight that you seek. And the tarot deck, it's split into 2 parts. There's the major arcana, which is where we see the classic cards like death, the lovers, the hanged man, the world, the sun, the moon. And these are archetypes. The chariot, for example, can represent strength or forward progress. Death does not always mean death. That's a bit of a stereotype. It usually means the death of a situation, so it's more a change is going to come. The next deck is the minor arcana, and this is where the present day playing cards are based on. They're called the pip cards because they have the numbers on, which are the pips. So the 4 suits again, we've got swords, clubs, coins and cups. And with these cards, it's quite easy to see from the design what the overall feeling and the overall impression of what the card is. So here's some examples. We have the 2 of Swords here. So this, the advice to the person in the card would be perhaps take off the blindfold, stop fighting, have a better look around you at what's going on. The 3 of Swords, this should be fairly obvious, the general meaning behind this one. The 4 of Wands, this could signify a stable home life, or building a stable home life, moving to somewhere. The 5 of Cups, if you look at this carefully, the man appears to be grieving, but he's focusing on the 3 cups which have been knocked over, where there's 2 cups which are still standing, so this is saying things are bad, but there's good in there too. The 7 of Pentacles, you could interpret this one as fruits of your labour coming to fruition. And the 7 of Cups here, this one could be interpreted as lots of good things are going to come your way, you've got a choice of things. Now the 9 of Swords, this looks bad, and someone here is grieving. This is obviously things are not in a good way. And here's the 10 of Swords, which is even worse. So these are not necessarily things you'd want to have come up in your reading, but if they did, they'd probably tell you things you already know, unless it was referencing what's going to happen in the near future, which would be quite bad. In the modern deck, the court cards, we have King, Queen and Jack. In the tarot, there's King, Queen, Knight and Page. For a tarot reading, the court cards would represent people you may meet in your life or people you know already. So the King would be an older gentleman, Queen could be a woman, the Knight would usually be a younger man, and the page could be a younger girl or a child. The suit of swords is linked to air, which reflects mental abilities. So if a tarot reading comes up with a king of spades, this could represent someone possibly with dark hair who is quite intelligent. If the cards are reversed, it usually means the negative aspect of the person or someone with ill intentions towards you. By comparison, the suit of cups represents people who have a fairer complexion, possibly blonde hair, and generally of a more affectionate nature. So there's analysis of Sting's Shape of My Heart, and there'll be one more in this 3-part series of Sting lyrics. If you've got any comments or suggestions for future videos, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll put the link to the original video. Thanks.